And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Ysn Power Hour, and it's proudly powered by our friends over at Toyota of Warren. DJ Oakley with you. Appreciate you being with us here today. Got a great show for you. Danny Bertolini stops by the program. Had a chance to talk to him earlier today about the tough road trip. I mean, listen, when you play the kind of talent and the kind of schedule that Youngstown State University is playing this year, you're going to run into some problems. And the trip this weekend wasn't necessarily a problem. It was a growing experience, a learning experience for the Penguins, and they certainly did that. Hoping to go into the College of Charleston this weekend and take a little bit of a beating to them, and trying to take some of the things that they've learned. Not a great showing, obviously, from the pitching side of things. I think you had one pitcher go over 5 innings. You had a couple pitchers over 4, so that's not awful, especially Sloan Ulrich, the starter. But when you look at the expectation, some of the names that we've seen for a long time here on YSN that are representing, they expect more from themselves, and certainly, the people that are rooting for the Gwins this year expect them to be, really, really good at this level of baseball. And I think we're going to see that. I just think it was a slow start. We'll talk to Danny Bertolini about it and hear what he has to say. And if there's one thing I know about Coach Berto, it's the fact that he's always got a positive, outlook and forecast on what's going on. And usually the Gwins fight out of it. Pardon me. So, yeah, I still got that. So let's hopefully he clears some things up for you as he stops by the show a little later in a couple minutes. But there's one thing that we haven't really talked about quite yet on this show. And I don't know if my buddy Sam Torres out there is able to pop in on the show today or not. This is just kind of flailing at this point and throwing spaghetti in the wall and see what sticks. But he's had an interesting take on the OHSAA and them deciding to essentially create more divisions within the OHSAA. So, as you may or may not know, football has 7 divisions. Most other things have 4, right? Most other sports have 4 divisions. And now the OHSAA is saying, hey, you know what? I think everybody could benefit from having more divisions. And they might be absolutely right. But I feel like I've seen this movie before. And given the body of work that they've put forward, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, something tells me that there's a little bit more to this. Something tells me that this might be about, I don't know, some guy named Benjamin and his millions of friends. So, is this about money for you? If you look at what the OHSAA has done over the last 5 to 10 years, if you look at what they're looking to do, which is essentially take baseball and softball and soccer, and I'm trying to do like the Cliffs Notes, because if I'm being honest, I'm still not fully sure, nor do I think anybody else is, on what they're trying to do other than create more divisions so that there's more championships, so there's more dollars. And that's pretty much where it ends. Because you're just throwing the same, literally, you're throwing the same birthday party over and over and over and over and over and over again. So what's a couple more throughout the year? And this is where they have control. They could care less. And I know we've talked about this before. They could absolutely care less about what you do in the regular season. They do not care. They do not care. But when it gets that postseason, 125, 150, $200, $250 per broadcast, so you can see your grandson, you can see your nephew, your niece. We're going to charge you $15 a ticket. The Ohio government's going to beat us up, and then we're going to knock it down to $10. Like, maybe this is the conspiracy theorist in me talking, but if it's $15 and you've got to be bullied to knock it down to $10 and you're still turning a profit, why did it go up to $15? Could it be because it's a monopoly and the fact that you don't have any choice but to pay that dollar amount? I don't know. And I'm not trying to beat up the OHSAA here. In fact, I think we've been actually getting closer to becoming friends out of all of this. In some of the remarks, I think there's a general consensus, and I think there's an agreement in some capacities of, hey, they're kind of calling us out on our BS. Maybe we need to watch. And it's not just us, but we certainly start conversations that are hurting Columbus. And here's another one. And I don't know how, and I respect other people's opinions. This is not the day and age of, I see on Facebook, you're either right or you're wrong. There are many different opinions out there about if this is better for the student athletes, if it's better for the schools. And I'm here to listen to it, because I think there are some conversations that can and will be had that this opens the doors for other schools to win state championships. But I also, au contraire, this also opens the door for manipulation of divisional championships. And I could see a smaller school who's really good in sports kind of keeping a cap on what they bring in, or essentially what they send out per year, because schools are doing it. They're doing it not just year, I don't know, every other year. They're doing it every year, and they're making sure that the cap is set on how many kids come in and how many kids leave, so that way they have control, because they obviously know, listen, sports is a business. And I hate to break it down like that. Sports has become a business, and now it's big business, which is why the OHSAA is sitting on nearly $20 million, if not more by now. But I want to know, because the spin is, for them, more divisions means a better opportunity for you to become a state champion. My question to you is, number one, are you buying that? And number two, does it water down a championship if there are more divisions? We've seen champions in lower divisions before, and we'll see them again here in the Youngstown area, in the Ashtabula area, in the Cleveland area, in the, I guess, below Columbiana County area that we have here. Hello, Richmond, Edison. I guess my question is more along the lines of, does this water down a championship if you win, instead of Division 4, let's say, it's now a Division 7 championship? Or is a championship a championship, and you'll market that or spin that as, we beat who we were supposed to beat? We're the champions. We'll keep on fighting till the end. And I guess that's this has a lot of legs to it. And I guess it just depends on how you benefit in certain areas. And I guess you can spin this one way. Look at this. Here's what I think. If you're going to do this, do it in every sport so people aren't confused as to what division you're in. So if South Range is a Division 5 in football, Across the board, they're Division 5. That's it. You're a Division 5 school. So that way, you're Division 5 in football, you're Division 5 in baseball. You're playing the same teams. You should be playing the same teams across the board when the tournament starts in each particular season. And I think that's how you grow this. If you're the OHSAA, that's almost what you have to do, because that's how you grow these rivalries that are not necessarily location based, geographically based. I want to see South Range take on Coldwater. I want to see South Range take on some of these schools. I want to see Warren JFK take on some of these schools from the MAC in other sports. Knowing full well that JFK, one of those schools that is a perennial powerhouse in nearly everything they do, including cheerleading, state champs, by the way, I want to see what they can do against some of these other schools, right? And I also think that you look at this and you go, okay, this school's a powerhouse in basketball. This school's a powerhouse in football. This school's a powerhouse in golf or lacrosse or whatever it may be. And then you've got schools like JFK that are powerhouses in nearly everything. And if you slide them down the scale from basketball as a D4 to a D7, uh-oh. I mean, you're talking dynasty. And then how does the OHSAA respond? Does it turn into an Aliquippa situation? And those of us here in the Buckeye State, I knew that one was coming. Those of us in the Buckeye State don't understand the Aliquippa situation. Essentially, think about a team that's in Division 7 in football, and every year they bump them up and bump them up and bump them up. And I believe in the Pennsylvanians that watch this show will have to tell me if I'm right or not. But essentially, the 1A is the smallest. I want to say it's like Quad A, 5A. I don't know what it is. It's reversed. Whatever it is in Ohio, it's reversed in Pennsylvania. So basically, Aliquippa, and this is not funny. This is actually really, really sad. It's really cool until they just keep doing it. Essentially, Aliquippa would be a D7 program here in Ohio. And they're playing in the playoffs. They're playing schools that would essentially be D2. So imagine, and I'm not going to here to start a war, but imagine a team like the enrollment of a JFK, the enrollment of a Latonia, the enrollment of, some of these D7 schools playing the enrollment of Boardman, Austintown Fitch, Massillon, Washington. I mean, strength in numbers, certainly. But Aliquippa's done it all the way up the ladder to this point, and the PIAA is just, all right, well, we'll keep moving you up until you're done. Until you say is enough's enough, and you start tapping out. And I think they've had it. There's somebody mad upstairs. There's somebody mad upstairs. So when it boils down to it, do more divisions benefit the OHSAA? But the better question, do more divisions benefit your school and your community? My answer is no. Sam Torres, a great mind, a guy that really sees things from a bunch of different angles. His answer is yes. And I can see why. But I would love to know a little bit deeper. Is this a situation, and Sam, if you're out there and you've got time, would love to have you on. Is this a situation where it's only because your teams have a better opportunity of postseason stardom, postseason awards, postseason banners per se. That's what I want to know. Because if that's the only reason, then my simple response to that is get better. And I know it's a lot. That's kind of a loaded response. But we've gone so far away and into the woods from competition, especially in the last 5 years. You've got schools that won't play schools because of any particular reason. I mean, from open enrollment to they got tired of losing to in those particular matchups, those particular games are the best games and the best competition because they're backyard rivalries. And the frustration becomes, and this isn't just here in Northeast Ohio, this is across the country. I mean, you've got AAU teams that won't play, they'll forfeit. You've got JO teams that'll do the same thing, travel ball teams that won't go to certain tournaments because another team's playing in it. This isn't singled out to the OHSAA or necessarily even high school sports. There is just a general non-competitiveness or lack of competitiveness that is happening right now. And you hear about cancel culture all the time and things of that nature. But when it starts affecting sports, then we got a problem. Last night, I believe it was last night, we saw yet again a situation where you've got two teams that are, and I forget, I apologize, I don't know the teams that happened. I think it was Texas A&M and might have been a much smaller school, I believe. But they're going through the handshake line. And all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. Massive fight. I mean, everybody seemingly getting in on this. And once again, today, we hear the fallout of why do we need to be shaking hands in sports? Just do away with the handshake line. I'm going to fight this one till I'm blue in the face, till I choke on my own cough. Because here's the thing. Cough, I said, by the way, cough. I think that at the end of the day, anything that requires having to monitor, behave, having to kind of grow up, mature, and show sportsmanship and do something when you don't necessarily want to, that's the easiest to cancel out. It's the easiest to say, well, I'm just not going to do it. But who does that sound like? It sounds like a 5-year-old that doesn't want to clean their room. Sounds like a 2-year-old that doesn't want to take a nap. Sounds like all these people, and yes, I have experience, by the way. In this home, we have much experience in this. And that's why it's so funny to see this on a national level, because you have people that are saying, just don't shake hands. Well, okay. Maybe we handle it like parents would then. If these commissioners that are so strong, right, in professional and obviously college sports, these commissioners of these leagues need to start saying, okay, well, if we're not going to shake hands, then we just won't play. And you can keep your money, and then the league goes away and the sport goes away. And if you can't bring yourself at the end of a contest that you've put your best out there and they've put their best out there, and no matter which side of the coin that you end up on, winning or losing or tying, 2024, if you can't put that behind you and respect the community that you play for first and foremost, the community that they play for, the coaching, the players, to just drop it for 3 seconds, put your hand out there like a man or a woman and shake the other team or the other player or the other coach's hands and say, "Good game, best of luck. We'll get you next time." Then why are we playing sports? I kind of blame the generation that I grew up in with the Nintendo generation because every time someone lost, they hit the reset button. Well, I didn't really lose because we didn't see the end of the game. No, you lost. You lost, dude. You lost. Just because you're a baby and you hit the reset button, just because you don't shake somebody's hand doesn't mean that you don't lose the game. If you don't shake their hand, it just means you're the a-hole, right? It means you're the poor sport. You're willing to go above and beyond and train and do all the qualifications of putting yourself in this position, except for you're not going to shake their hand because I'm not going to do it because screw them. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I learned a lesson a long time ago from my coach my senior year. His name's Troy Burdine, Columbiana Hall of Famer. We had a kid that would fake injuries when we were losing, and it came quickly apparent that this young man would, when we were not going to win or we weren't doing particularly well, the injuries would set in, and all of a sudden he'd be pulled from the game and sat on the bench. And miraculously, his injuries healed up by the end of the game enough to go talk. Pardon me. Talk to his significant other at the time and his family. Well, being a Marine, Coach Burdine, pretty up on things, pretty cognizant of what was going on. And 3 games into the season, said, "You know what? We're going to sit you out today. I want to make sure that you're completely healthy when you come back in a week." So he had to sit out for a week. That player never came back. And parents, his parents cried to the school board. At that time, the school board had a lot of guts, and they backed the coach because there was enough evidence that said, "I'm benching him for the safety of this young man." And guess what? The parents had a problem with that because their kid wasn't starting anymore. This is what we're living in right now, folks. If we can't win, I'm not going to shake your hand. I'm not going to tell you that you did better than me. Screw off, pal. You cheated somehow. I don't know how you cheated, but we're going to figure it out. You lost. You lost. Maybe a call didn't go your way. So now the bad guy goes from being, stay with me now, bad guy goes from being the other team, the opposition, to the officiating, the referees, the umpires. I don't know how many times we've talked about this on the show. We are facing, no matter what anybody tells you, we are facing an officiating shortage. And there's nothing funny about it. Unless you think pulling, Uncle Rico out of the stands and putting him behind the dish to call balls and strikes, or putting Uncle Rico in stripes and putting him on the sideline, or heaven forbid, putting him in a position to officiate, is a good idea. Folks, we're coming to a crossroads very quickly. Very quickly. And the end game is sports are either going to change drastically or they could potentially go away. Now, in the midst of this officiating shortage, let's bring this back full circle. We've got a governing body here in Ohio that thinks it's a great idea to increase the number of divisions in its athletics. We barely have enough to get by right now. We've created all playoffs on Fridays in that scenario this past year. And now we're going to create more games. And you can run back the tape, folks, because I told you in 2020, during this very broadcast, this particular show, alongside of a few of my friends, that everybody in football, everybody in every sport, someday soon would make the playoffs. If you don't see this train chugging down the tracks, man, do I have some snake oil to sell you. It's coming. It's not about your son or daughter. It's not. This is about the bottom line. The OHSAA can now sit there as a nonprofit and look at every different outcome and say, this is how we increase. Because just like you, they have people that they have to answer to as well. And just like you, at your job, their bosses are saying, how do we increase revenue? So it's not like I blame necessarily the people at the OHSAA because they're just doing their job, but the people behind the OHSAA are the ones that you sit there and you go, You do realize that these are children in 95% of cases. These are children under the age of 18 that you are continuously making dollar signs, and now even more dollar signs on their backs. But then you condone, you sit there and you point fingers at people like us, the media, who try to provide a platform, a heroic sense of belonging in their own community, and you charge us and make us charge them to watch their kids. And we get blamed because every time that someone comes to you and go, why do you do that? We don't make them do that. The challenge that I have is, okay, then drop your fee. If you truly feel like you don't make people pay to watch their children, drop your fee, drop some of the partnerships that you currently have, and prove it. We won't charge. I think we've been pretty good with not charging through 7 years. And the only time right now that we do charge is when we are charged, which is usually by you. So you can see where I'm a little bit skeptical about the greatness of the opportunity that the OHSA sits there and brings to your table and says, man, this is some fresh soup, the soup of the day. And it's delicious. And a shout out to my boy, Gordon Ramsay. And then you just have to ask the question, what was the soup of the day yesterday? And you watch that face go blank and stare at you as the answer is the same. This, folks, this division addition from the OHSAA is the soup of the day. It's the soup of the week. And by golly, it's the soup of the month because they keep serving it to you and you just keep spooning it in your mouth. One slurp at a time. At some point, somebody's got to stand up. somebody has to call attention to this and go, whoa, 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 whoa. We see what you're doing. We see what you're doing. We understand what you're doing. And trust me, the way things are set up, the tail is wagging the dog. The OHSAA is telling schools what they're going to do, when in reality, the schools have all the power. The 818 schools in the OHSAA have all the power. But nobody wants to stand up and say, hey, buddy, guess what? We're not doing that. This is the way it's going to go down. Or we're going to take our ball and go home. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if quadrants started just disappearing for the right reasons? We're talking about sportsmanship. It's time that sportsmanship goes both ways between the OHSAA and the schools, between the OHSAA and media, between the OHS. I mean, every single relationship that the OHSAA is in is because they feel they have the power. I'm not buying it. Every way I look at this in the blueprint that is the OHSAA, somebody else has the power. The media can just stop covering the OHSAA tournament. Then what do you do? The schools can stop going. They can protest. I've had schools say that they don't care because there's only one school per division that wins a state championship. So when will we see it? When will we see it? When will they push that envelope too far? Time will tell. Take a break. When we come back, Danny Bertolini joins the show here on the YSN Power Hour, proudly powered by our friends over at Toyota of Warren. We'll answer the comment section, so get your comments in, questions, and we'll hear from Danny when we come back on the YSN Power Hour.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
It means the world to me to know that what we're doing is impacting people. And whether it's simply I got to watch my son or daughter when I was out of town, or we just love watching YSN. We love what you do for our son or daughter. So whenever someone says thank you or someone is appreciative of what we're doing, it tells me everyone at YSN is doing what we initially set out to do, which is shine a light on these athletes and help them kind of promote themselves. My name is Anthony Hartwig, and my sports network is your sports network.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, it is Coach's Corner, YSU baseball style, with one of my great friends, Mr. Dan Bertolini, fresh off the Texas trip down to Texas State, the Youngstown State University baseball Penguins. Come up a little bit short, 0-3 on the road trip, but experience was gained in kind of what we were just talking about, Coach. When you look at the experience, they had 19 seniors, you said. We have 4 experiences necessary when you're trying to do the things that you're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it was great for our players. We had played in a great environment on Friday night. It was a beautiful night. Didn't go the way we wanted it to, but a lot of guys got their first opportunities to really play at the Division I level. We have some older players, but haven't really been the key guys for their teams, and a lot of younger guys got their first chances to play. So we had a lot of firsts this weekend. It was good for us. They're a really quality team. They do a great job, and they're going to be a force in the Sun Belt. So it was good for us to kind of gain that experience, and that's really what opening weekend's for, and then see if we can learn from the mistakes that we made, some things we did well, and kind of build off that and correct some of the things we need to work on this week of practice.
I think one of the biggest things is when everybody looks at that Friday game, they're going to look at the score and they're going to say, wait a minute, wait a minute. What do we have to expect this year? I think people can get lost in the box score a little bit, especially when it comes to a score like that. When you see that and you see your freshmen going out and maybe some of your, I guess, first year players, not freshmen, going out and getting that experience, what do you tell them after an outing like that when, the two guys that you have at the front with Jake going an inning, and then not really getting the start that you want out of him. What do you tell him after that start, and kind of conversations with your pitching staff after a 20-run wallop, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, we went back and watched the film. Like, I really didn't think, he was close to getting out of that inning with nothing, and next thing you know, he made a couple really quality pitches that they found a barrel to. The wind was blowing out. They hit a couple balls that just got out a little bit, and he got tired. And if it was later in the season, we probably would have rolled him back out there to work through some stuff. But he was at like 40 pitches in the first inning, and we just, we don't want to get anyone injured this early, so we decided to kind of pull him. But he's going to be fine. He's got great stuff. He's, it's just one of those days. Sometimes in baseball, they just it just seemed like everything that he threw, they had a great plan against them, and they kind of knew. Seemed like they kind of knew what to expect from him, and they were on it. So I know that he'll do a great job bouncing back. I was really impressed with Colin Castile, freshman, getting his first opportunity out there, and honestly gave us a shot to stay in the other games. He was able to give us 4 really quality innings in the middle of that game there to keep us in it, and I thought he pitched well. So that was a real bright spot. I thought a lot of our young pitchers, did a real nice job of getting their first experience and pitching really well. So that's encouraging moving forward.
Yeah, I guess that was kind of where I was going to lean to. Colin did an amazing job. He goes 5.1. You have Aiden that goes 2/3 of an inning, and you have Gavin that goes a full inning for you. You guys throw 199 pitches on Friday. But let's switch gears. Offensively, what did you see or not see that you maybe wanted to kind of address, or things that you need to work on moving forward with teams of the caliber that you're going to be facing this year?
Yeah, I thought there's going to be nerves on Friday and opening weekend. Like I talked about, some guys getting their first experience, but I thought overall, like our approach, our plan was pretty good. It's just challenging when you get down big early in the first game. We're probably not a team that's going to hit 1 million home runs. We want to get into our offense a little bit and be able to bunt, steal some bases, and create some chaos. And we weren't able to do that. I thought we drew a lot of walks. I mean, their Friday night starters, as good as probably we'll see all year. Up to 94, could sink it, good slider, good command. We were able to, draw 4 or 5 walks and find ways to get some hits. I felt like every time we hit the ball really hard, we just didn't get a lot to show for it. But, there was probably 7, 8, 9 balls that we hit really hard that if they go different, the offense looks a little better on the weekend. We still got some things to improve on. We got to get a little bit more aggressive, finding balls earlier in counts in the strike zone. But I think part of that's just gaining experience, as we see more, and this is pretty typical to look back every year. For the most part, you're going to strike out a little bit more on opening weekend. And then as you get more accustomed to it, you'll get better as the year goes on. But I was happy with how we played. I mean, we played great defensively. We were, day 1 and day 2, we were pretty much like, not 1-to-1, but 1 to 1.5 walk to strikeout, which is pretty good for us. Got a little lopsided on Sunday, but I thought, there were some good things. There were definitely some bright spots that we focused on, and we got to continue to improve. We got to put a little bit more balls in play. Got to be a little bit more aggressive with guys in scoring position because we had opportunities. We just weren't able to capitalize.
I think Sloan gave you a great start on Saturday. When you look at that, I mean, how do you build on things with him and be able to say, hey, we just need to keep continuing? I mean, 4.2 innings in his first time out this year, that's pretty special when you think about it, considering, the other starters only going an inning or so the rest of the way. How do you build those arms along the way? I mean, 4.2 is a good starting point for sure, but how do you build those arms along the way? I know you said Jake, you probably would have kept him in and rolled him back out there if it's further in the season. But in the back of your mind, is there a little bit of PTSD from last year of the injuries that you guys kind of sustained over the course of the year with your pitching staff?
No, I mean, I think it's just you're just trying to be smart, building guys up gradually. There's a lot of studies done, like when you get over 35 pitches in an inning, we try to get guys out before that happens. You just don't want, your body starts fatiguing. You're just not built for that. So we try to get guys out if that's the case. I thought Sloan pitched incredible. I'm not really worried about Jake at all. Like, sometimes bad starts happen. That's not we know that he's going to be a good pitcher for us. But, I thought it was huge for Sloan to come out. He really dominated, kept the ball down. He threw a lot of strikes. We're one pitch away from getting out of that inning. It's a 1-2 count, back foot slider that gets away, kind of takes an awkward bounce and bounces towards their dugout. They're able to score 2 runs. I thought the real bright spot is we didn't give up a lot of hits on Saturday or Sunday. I mean, I think we gave up 6 in one game and 5 in the other. So it's not like we were getting hit all over the ballpark on the weekend. We just got to clean up the keeping the ball in the strike zone. We got to limit the free bases. If we can do that and not give up hits, we're going to be in a really good spot. So, but yeah, I mean, Sloan is a great preparer. He works hard. He does things the right way. And we were really looking forward to big things from him. And I think it's just the start of where he's going to end up being.
I think, relatively speaking, you walked away pretty healthy. From all the reports that I heard, RJ being the only kind of nick that you guys had, and I gotta say how impressed I was when Kovas stepped up and he gets 2 hits in that first game. He was really the talk of the weekend in Texas from the announcer standpoint. What did you see out of? First off, is RJ okay? Secondly, what did you see out of Kovas that really impressed you?
Yeah, I mean, RJ's going to be okay. Just kind of it was a cold day, just kind of tweaked his hammy a little bit. I think he should be ready to go for the weekend. We'll find out this week. He's going to get some treatment and see where he's at. But I think, Kovas, I was really impressed. And we'd been talking. I mean, he's matured a lot from the fall. He's still got a way to go as far as, day-to-day stuff. But for the most part, like, offensively, he's really matured a lot from where he kind of started, in end of August, September to now. And his last, we've talked in practice, like I was really impressed with the way he's been swinging the bat here the last, 2-3 weeks of our practice time leading up to the season. And so I wasn't that surprised when he got his opportunity and was going to go in there and swing. He's got tons of talent. I mean, he's one of the more talented guys on our team. I think just as he gains experience and continues to mature and grow, like, he's going to be a really good player for us down the line. So just another really good bat that we're going to be able to add. Gave us a big lift. It was inches away from hitting a bases clearing triple down the right field line in Sunday's game, which would have been huge for us to kind of extend that lead a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I was impressed. Threw a guy out of the plate. But as he gets more experience in right field too, he'll get better reads and jumps and things like that. And, but just gives us another person that can add some offense.
This weekend, we look to the College of Charleston, a familiar foe, not someone that you're unacquainted with. What are your expectations going into this weekend series with a team that you know pretty well for the most part?
Yeah, I mean, we got a chance to play them in 2020, which was, still a ways away, but they're going to be good. They swept Marshall this weekend. They can pitch. They didn't give up a lot of hits. They didn't go a lot of runs. Probably not quite the power that Texas State had. Every guy basically coming out of their pen was 93, 94, touching 95. So, it was a little bit of a different challenge. I think they're going to be a little bit more. Their Friday night starter's got a great arm. He'll run it up to 94 with some sink and can move it around. And their other guys are going to be a little bit more pitchability, probably in that, upper 80s to scraping 90, but they can all pitch. They keep the ball down. They move it. They hold runners. It'll be a great challenge, very similar to teams in our league. They're a very quality team. They put some good runs up on the board against Marshall. So they'll be well coached and probably play a little bit more small ball than like Texas State did.
So we've been talking a little bit here with Danny Bertolini of the Youngstown State Baseball Penguins. Coach, we've been talking a little bit about those first series jitters. Now that the first series is over, is there a little bit more of cracking the whip and increasing those expectations as we head into Charleston and saying, okay, this is what we did. You get your pass, and now we've got to execute and be the guy that we brought in for X reason. Where do those expectations rank, and when do you really start grinding on these guys and telling them, hey, this is where you start finding your spot in the lineup or obviously in the rotation?
Well, I think the biggest, and that's why I talk to the guys, like every time we play, it's just information. Obviously we're playing every day to win, trying to execute, but in order for us to grow and get better, it's information. We got to take that information and then, apply it to how are we going to get better. So this week we're going to work on some things that we didn't do as well on the offensive side. Our pitchers are going to work on some things that they got to get better at, commanding the strike zone and getting ahead 2 out of 3, some different things that we got to work on. And I think, if we can focus on those things and execute those a little better, continue to stay with what we did really well, but then go ahead and get better each week. I think that's what we're really looking for. So, ultimately, these first 4 weekends are kind of getting us prepared to go ahead and compete in our conference. And, next week it'll really start to ramp up as we get, midweeks going. We got Pitt midweek. The following week we're playing OU. So our guys will get a little bit more reps, during the midweeks. So, yeah, I mean, obviously we want to see a better performance than we had this weekend. Just keep improving. That's really what this is about. Just keep taking steps forward so we're prepared to win in our conference.
We all know baseball players and baseball coaches are ones for routine and ones for maybe superstition. So the question off the wall this week is, do you have a traveling superstition or a traveling routine that you stick to, especially early in the season as you guys are continuously on the road week after week?
I don't take my stuff out of my bag, really. I just wash it, put it right back in my bag so I don't forget anything. That's probably the biggest worry you always have is like, man, I forget my helmet or my uniform or whatever. Like, you want to make sure you got everything organized because there's so many moving pieces. Superstition-wise, I don't really I used to be superstitious, but I'm not very I don't really have anything that
just
I
a
do
little
other
stitious now.
Yeah, I don't even think I'm a little stitious. I mean, I got my routine: coffee, workout, read some in the Bible, but like I'm not a huge superstitious guy. I know probably some of our players might be a little bit. I change my shoes up. If we have a bad weekend, I might change the shoes I wear on the weekend and try to get things going in the right direction. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that.
You mentioned reading in the Bible. Talk to me. Do you have a favorite passage that you continue to go back to?
Psalms 23 is probably we read it at my mom's funeral. And it's probably like, I think that was one that even Brock Purdy had mentioned was one that got him through the season. That God's always with you. He's got everything that you need. He's with you all the way. So, that's kind of my go-to. There's so many. John 3:16, I think, is a great one. I mean, that's pretty much sums it up. God so loved the world, he gave his only son. So, that's pretty special stuff there.
Well, you're a pretty special coach. We appreciate you spending some time with us here today on YSN, Coach. Best of luck in Charleston. We'll be watching. I understand you can watch it on Flow Sports. I guess we'll have to have some Flow Sports subscriptions this weekend to watch the YSU baseball Penguins. We're excited. And then obviously next week we kick off our coverage on YSN. I can't wait.
You're going to be with us.
Stevie Les, myself, we're excited to put the band back together.
The legends will be with us next weekend.
The legends are in that dugout. I mean, with the guys that you've been able to put out there, and I gotta say, you were looking quite svelte on the Sunday broadcast, my friend. You were looking like a true athlete out there coaching third base.
You like the black top?
I do. That. I mean, it's sharp. It's sharp. So, I mean, the jerseys were sharp as well. The red tops with the black bottoms, you can't go wrong. So
those are new. Those are the new set this year. So
They're gorgeous. I mean, you guys have some great threads, and obviously great coaches and great players to be dressed in them. So thank you so much for taking some time. We will catch you next week, early next week, and talk about the series that was in Charleston. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
It is the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by Joe Dickey Electric. Special thanks to Danny Bertolini for stopping by. Love that we're going to do this every week. It's going to be a weekly thing. We're getting the players hopefully in this week as well. Some of the players are going to be familiar faces, so I'm excited about that. I wanted to bring your attention to a story that I heard on the way home from picking up my son from school on the radio. That somewhere, it wouldn't surprise me if this was in Florida. Somewhere in this country, this great country of ours, there was a kangaroo on the loose. A kangaroo on the loose. And someone, somewhere, had to make the decisive, I don't even know what it was a decisive opportunity, unfortunate opportunity, and they had to make a decision of what to do when approached by a kangaroo. Now, everything that I've seen, and I might just be looking at the wrong end of this spectrum, but kangaroos seem to be an incredibly angry animal. Like they look really cool, but they seem to be just. I've seen one try to drown a dog. I've seen one fight a human being. So my question is, if you had to do something, like if someone was in extreme danger, like yourself, and a kangaroo came hopping up on you, what would you do? What would be your first action? Would it be run? Would it be watch? Just stand frozen in time and see what happens? Would it be to take it one-on-one? And if that third option, taking it one-on-one, was the one that you chose, what would be the one go-to that you would use? Because I got to be honest, I don't think that a kangaroo would expect you to kick it. I don't. Like, I think the kangaroo is an egomaniac when it comes to knowing that it's probably the best kicker out there. I think I would use that. I think I would try the element of surprise. And what they tell you never to do in a fight is start a fight with a kick. I think I'd go down that road. I don't know why we're talking about this. I thought it was hilarious. The person ran away. But I think I would engage. I don't know. I'd make sure that everybody was safe, minus myself, and I think I would try to take it one-on-one. If the kangaroo wanted to fight, the kangaroo would get one. That is our show for the day. Hopefully you don't get beat up by a kangaroo, and we will see you here tomorrow. Scotty Mincher joins the show as he does on Wednesdays. Looking forward to that. And Thursday, Duncan Moy from Badger. The kid's just a stud. Great sports, great in basketball, but an even better young man. He joins the show on Thursday, so we're looking forward to that. And, of course, we will close out the week with some special guests as well. My name is DJ Yoakley. This has been the Ysn Power Hour, brought to you by our friends at Toyota of Warren. We thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow right here, 3 to 4, on the network. Ysn thanks you for watching.